Turning off my phone for one thing, so that the 9:30.
What time do you want to start?
I'd like to start now because I already started on the thing.
Oh.
Well, I guess because I was over here fooling around on the couch, you didn't realize.
Yeah.
Ah, okay, yes, I got the size.
Okay.
I like your drumming, and now it's on to be on YouTube.
It's not really drumming. It's more like nervous exhalation.
Oh, okay.
Because if I didn't drum, I'd probably have to kill somebody.
Odie Hawkins.
And get rid of your nerves.
In one of your movies, in one of your stories. Huh?
I'd like to start this off by announcing that I have my mail-in ballot. And I would suggest that all those who have not received your ballots, I hope you do receive them as soon as possible and vote.
I say vote. All right.
Try to avoid voting for anybody who has flies in their hair. Try to avoid voting for anybody who has flies in their hair.
Moving forward on the reading, please.
Okay. This is the Snake Doctor. And yes, Alfred, it's true. I'm coming to the end.
Aha.
And I know you've been waiting for that.
Other people have been
chapter
listening.
32 last night, right?
Lily, yes, 33 and 32 is what you read last night. So you're on chapter 34.
Oh, that's where I'm starting?
Yes.
I forgot.
There's Lily Hood. She's been keeping up with you. Valentina Martinez.
I knew what chapter I was on. I just wanted to see if anybody else knew.
Okay, I'm sure that Val knows.
Isn't that clever?
Okay. I'm sure that Valentina knows. I know that Kojo Yanka must know. Susan Amagashi must know. Alfred must know.
Susan's all up in here.
Yes, she is.
Heart. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you, sweetheart.
There you go.
You've made, you, Kojo Yanka, and a whole host of beautiful Ghanaians have made that a warm place in my heart forever.
Ashe. Okay.
Having said all that, should I get to work?
Yes, so would you like to show the book cover, please?
No.
That is The Snake Doctor.
The Snake Doctor.
By Odie Hawkins.
This is The Snake Doctor.
All right. So we are wrapping up The Snake Doctor, and please begin.
Okay. The question is whether or not Ananse, who's been living a street life, somewhat like this feral cat who surrounds this house.
Tarzan.
What is it? Anyway, I don't know where he comes from, but he spends a lot of time sleeping around. Ananse is somewhat in the same order. He's been living a free life, a feral life for so long that he may or may not be able to adjust to a settled life, going back and forth to work every day and so forth. As you recall, in the last scene of the last chapter, after Kofi had made arrangements to meet him at Susan's place at 7 o'clock the next day, the guy falls asleep on the table because he's been smoking weed and drinking a pateshi. So let's see whether or not he makes it.
All right.
Susan's place, 7 p.m. Kofi strolled in, dressed in a mustard-colored sports shirt, beige slacks, and walnut-shaded Moroccan loafers. When you're looking good, you feel good, Granddad Kofi always said. Susan dashed up to welcome him with a friendly kissy-kissy on both cheeks. Welcome, you know where your table is. Where's Salena? She'll be along in a few minutes. He exchanged civil nods with a few of the regulars as he occupied his wall-side table. Good, thank God she didn't ask about Ananse. What could I say to her? I told him that we had an appointment, but he was a little bit whacked out at the time. I hope he remembers. Zacharias oozed over to his table with a perfectly concocted daiquiri.
Mm-hmm.
Zacharias, you're a gem.
Mm-hmm. So Zacharias.
Thank you, sir. Would you like to do something? You better believe it. I'm hungry as a big dog. You say, yes, I would like a little something. Zacharias released a big smile in his direction and slid away to bring back a little something. Kofi gazed at her over the rim of his daiquiri glass. Damn, the sister's fine. He took in the full photo of Salena, pausing at the entrance, glancing around to locate him. Look at her style and profile, as though she doesn't know where I am. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe she's nearsighted or something. He felt like shouting, hey baby, I'm over here. A gorgeous vision in ivory white, from gele to Italian sandals. She finally spotted him and made a beeline to their table. Ah, so you're here. I didn't see you. Salena, do you wear glasses? She looked down, curled her mouth in fake tragic fashion. Yes, I do. But not on all occasions. What was that supposed to mean? Zachariah, you take them off when you go to bed? Zacharias broke up the momentary introspection with a daiquiri for the new arrival and a little something. Thai stuffed chicken wings. There's no pork stuffed in the chicken wings, sir. Not at all. For a few moments, they sipped and took bites of their chicken wings. Kofi was really affected by the food. You know something? This is the first meal I've had today. Salena looked stricken. Oh, you poor man. I didn't realize you were starving there in your hotel. Well, not starving, but when we get beyond ordering beer, it's best to go to the country kitchen. I didn't go there today. Midway into their third bites of stuffed chicken wings and second sips of their daiquiris, before they had a chance to talk to each other, Ananse literally stumbled over to their table, his white shirt drenched with sweat. So sorry I couldn't make it at 7 p.m. Salena looked shocked. Kofi took note of his greedy look at their clustered chicken wings and his neatly trimmed head. Well, you're here now. That's what matters. Please have a little something. Ananse forced his eyes to focus on a distant point. Thank you, Kofi. I have chopped already today. Kofi and Salena exchanged conspiratorial glances.
No, he hasn't.
Yeah, proud man. Well, would you like a drink? You look dehydrated. Ananse swallowed hard a few times, pulled his sweat-drenched shirt away from his front and back. A beer would be nice, very nice indeed. Kofi took notice of this British Ghana play out. Everybody has to play his role well in order for it to play well. Of course, he wanted a cold beer, but he couldn't jump up and down and do sealed circus claps about it. The beer came. They sipped their daiquiris, and just as though it had been scheduled, Susan floated next to their table and announced, "Now then, I see that all the principal figures have arrived. Upstairs we go." She signaled to Zacharias. "Not available, 45 minutes. Yes, sir, madame. Kofi, Salena, Ananse, refresh your drinks, please." Upstairs in the sanctum, Susan ushered them to sit on a sofa, grabbed her legal pad, ballpoint, sat down in front of them, became Mr. Madame. Now then, we know why we're here. Ananse, why are you so wet? Did you swim here? He looked down sheepishly and mumbled, "No, madame, I borrowed a friend's bike." "And you pedaled here from Jamestown?" "Yes, madame." Susan exchanged looks with Kofi and Salena. Is this guy serious or not? She popped from her seat to go to the door. "Jacob!" "Yes, madame." One of the waiters ran up the stairs. Susan whispered to him and stood at the door waiting for him to complete his errand. He ran back up the stairs a few moments later with a white waiter's jacket. Thank you, that'll be all. See that the people seated at table 6 are served. I see that they've been there for at least 2 minutes already. Yes, madame. She came over to give the jacket to Ananse. Please, go over there in the corner and put this on. You can't have you sweating all over the furniture now, can we?
Gotta think about the furniture.
No, yes, Madame Susan, thank you. Madame Susan, the die was set. She was to be Madame Susie, Madame Susan to him from this point on. You can hang your shirt on the hook there. Good. Now then, as I was going to say, we know why you're here, why we're here, so let's get cracking. Kofi has agreed to see your school fees for the immediate future. Needless to say, your performance will determine how this aid can be carried. I understand that you're not completely illiterate, is that correct? I'm not reading or writing well, Madame Susan, that is correct. No problem. I've spoken to one of my colleagues about you, and she assures me that you can be brought up to standard rather quickly. You're a bright chap, I can see that. Other tests will be made in the coming week to determine where you are. Are you getting me? Yes, Madam Susan. Kofi and Salena stared at the exchange. Susan, the head schoolmistress, and Ananse Kutu, the neophyte student. I'm bringing you aboard here. Your official title will be Third Assistant Gardener. Third Assistant Gardener, which means that you will be low man on the totem pole for a while, meaning that you will be doing a good deal of fetching and carrying for the second assistant gardener. The first assistant gardener, the head gardener, and myself. Are you agreeable to that? Oh yes, Madam Susan. We'll discuss your salary later, privately. Now then, let me ask you, are you homeless? Well, there are places where I can sleep. So in effect, you are homeless. I have made arrangements for you to have hut number 3 back there in our English, what our English rulers used to call boys' quarters. Always hated that expression, boys' quarters. They laughed at her sarcastic humor. Honestly, I like your spirit, I really do. But I run a tight ship here, and I will not tolerate an ounce of bullshit. Are you getting me? Yes, Madam Susan. Very good. Now then, here are the rules. No illegal drugs, none whatsoever. They will not be tolerated, period. If I determine you have used an illegal drug or that you are using an illegal drug, you will be sacked straight away. Your education will be terminated. There are no second chances, and I'm not open to excuses, none whatsoever. Moderate drinking is permitted. After all, I am a saloon keeper, and we are Ghanaians. We must have our beer. Yes, it's true. Ananse nodded in agreement. Having said that, I must add that all and any drinking must be done off duty. You may come into the bar here, dine if you wish, but there's a dress code. You would not be allowed inside with a sweaty shirt, for example. I understand, Madam Susan, I understand. You're not married, but I take it there is someone. Ananse looked slightly bewildered for a moment. Yes, Madam Susan, there is someone. Good. I know you are a bachelor and all of that, but I will not permit a succession of women to be brought upon these grounds. I've made my own rules concerning these matters because this is, at the end of the day, my fiefdom. Meaning I am the ruler here, and my word is law. Ananse, Kofi, and Salena took sips of their drinks.
Mm-hmm.
Was this the happy-go-lucky, hail fellow, well-met person they'd always seen? Obviously not. This was the official Susan of Susan's Place. When I am introduced to your girlfriend, or whatever you choose to call her, I will explain to her that she will be the only woman allowed overnight privileges here. However you do whatever you do beyond the boundaries of my authority, it will be your own business. Do you have any questions at this time? Ananse stood up. The white jacket looked elegant on his spare frame. He bowed slightly to Susan, Kofi, and Salena. I would like to say that I'm grateful for being given the opportunity to have a new life. I will do everything necessary to make it happen. I, Ananse Kutu, have spoken. Then he sat down. The trio looked at him. Do you want to say more? Is that it? Ananse nodded to each of them, a solemn expression on his face. That's it. Susan broke the silence. So, there we have it. It's Saturday night, and I must return to the money part of my business, but I must add one more thing, Ananse. We have a 7-hour work day from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m., 6 days a week. Tomorrow is Sunday. I would like to suggest you paddle back to Jamestown to get your affairs in order so that you can be ready and available for duty Monday morning. Will there be a problem? No, Madame Susan, there will be no problem whatsoever. Very good. Well, then, that's that. Kofi, as the sponsor of this situation, would like to say a word or two? Kofi stared at Ananse. No, I think it's all been said. Salena slowly curled her hand up. Kofi felt the spirit of Obatala that seemed to be manifested in her all-ivory white outfit. Susan pointed at her as though she were in a classroom. Kofi was surprised to see his girlfriend rise and bend down on one knee, her right knee. I want to ask Ananse's pardon for being so judgmental and bitchy the first time we met. I want to say that my friend, my African-American friend Kofi Brown, has shown me that I should be more supportive of our Ghanaian brothers and sisters. I pledge my support for this project, Ananse. I promise that I will do everything in my power to help Ananse. I promise that. Ananse bowed his head in response. Susan took it to the next level. Very good indeed. Now I must return to my business. Ananse, you're off to return the bike. I will expect to see you at 7 a.m. Monday. I'll have a uniform for with your name printed on the front and back. Yes, Madame Susan. Kofi, Salena, you're on your own. We'll talk later. They shook hands all around, and it was over, done.
Whew. Okay.
Susan shot back down into her mode. Ananse paddled away with the white jacket on, that used to boast of his new status, and Kofi and Salena sampled their fresh daiquiris out on the grounds on their favorite white bench. They sat next to each other, sipping their fresh daiquiris, staring up at a full moon and listening to the music from inside Susan's Place. Marvin Gaye's classic, What's Going On, spilled out on them. They stood to dance and melted into each other's arms. Salena, Kofi whispered into her ear as they moved slowly together. You once told me that you were saving yourself for your husband. I think you found him.
Ooh.
Salena stopped their slow dance and leaned away from him to stare into his face. Kofi, do you know what you are saying to me? Yes, I'm saying that I love you and I want you to be my wife.
Whoa.
Oh my God, I don't know what to say. Say yes. Oh yes. They kissed for a record length of time before she held him at arm's length again. Kofi, you know I fell in love with you when we first met. No, I didn't know. Why didn't you tell me? How could I tell you? Maybe you would have rejected me. I can't imagine me rejecting you, no matter what the circumstances. Well, one never knows. when would you like to meet my parents to ask for their permission? Well, we could go see them right now if you want to. Oh, no. Oh, that's so American. And besides, it's late. How about tomorrow evening, Sunday? What time? They'll be home after church. Let's say 4-ish. 4, fine. Why don't you pick me up at my hotel? Yes, I would. Please hold me. You have made me a very happy woman tonight. They held each other close and swayed in rhythm to the music. Now here we are at the last chapter. Well, let me pause for a minute to take a deep breath and a sip of my daiquiri.
Yes, please.
That's not daiquiri. But it could have been.
It could have been.
Dear Dad, Mom, I haven't written you guys for a couple of weeks because I've been so busy. It's taking a lot for me to control this ballpoint. There's so much I want to say at once. Let me take a deep breath and let it out slowly. There. First things first, I got married last week to the woman of my dreams, Salena-Hawkins. She is now Mrs. Salena-Hawkins Brown. You may have guessed that there was something happening when I first wrote to you about her. I can tell you this. No one else was even in the running after we met. I knew she was the one when we first met. I was amazed to learn that she felt the same way, but that didn't come out till after I proposed. I met her parents. They remind me so much of Grandfather Harvey and Grandmother Minerva. And they gave us their permission and blessings. As you can see, Mr. Brown, we've always trusted our daughter to make the best decisions in her life. Yes, sir, I can see that. Some of our friends were quite upset with us when we gave Salena permission to have her own place. Yes, indeed, they thought we were opening the doors for bad behavior. We couldn't see that at all. After all, if you've done a proper job of raising your child, there will be no problem. Not at all. Long distance. I would like to introduce you to your new relatives, Mr. John Wesley Sapong and Mrs. Kwabena Apia Sapong. They will be emailing you pretty soon if they haven't done so already. We had the wedding at our friend Susan's place. The reason for the rush to the altar had to do with my visa extension running out, and of course school starting in September. I've missed my snakes. Being married will make it easier for Salena to get her exit visa, and then there's Susan in our corner, which makes matters immensely easier. We'll have another ceremony when I get home, but I have to give you a capsule account of the one we had over here. We have lots of wedding photos. Lots of people came to our wedding at Susan's place. It's unbelievable how many people you can get to know in a place like this. People from the hotel came. My favorite taxi driver and his family, 6 kids. The immigration chief, Mr. O'Kine. Folks I had met here and there, plus a huge number of Salena's relatives. Ananse was my best man.
Aww.
Man. Let me tell you about this brother. This is a story that comes from Susan, his new employer, or I should say his first employer, because he never had a job before. She took him on as a 3rd assistant gardener, a purely fictitious job that she created especially for him. Anyway, she told us that this is what happened at the conclusion of his first day on the job. Zacharias comes to me and said, "Madame, sir, come, the new boy is crying." "Whatever in the world for?" "I do not know, madame." I went straight away to Ananse's quarters, and there he was, sitting on the side of the bed, crying his eyes out. I couldn't believe it, and I certainly couldn't understand it. "Ananse, old boy, what seems to be the problem?" It took him a few minutes to collect himself to tell me what he was crying for. Well, first off, I thought he had gone round the bend, gone bonkers, but it wasn't quite that. The poor chap was crying because he'd never cried before. Are you getting me? During the course of his rough 22-year life, he had never been privileged to cry before. It was one of those emotional indulgences that the circumstances of his life wouldn't allow. And now he's making up for lost, stifled emotions. But tears continued to flow as he told me about his life as the illegitimate son of Asiafo, the man in the forest. I presume you're aware of the details. I found the story completely fascinating. The rotten life of an abandoned child on the streets in Jamestown? I shouldn't say abandoned. He was left out there because his mother died. As you well know, if you don't have family as a safety net here in Ghana, you're up the creek without a paddle.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. He was also crying. He told me about the things that he knew about in Africa and the world. Can you imagine someone being so sensitive about life that he would be weeping about the great tsunami that happened a few years ago, about Rwanda's genocide, about Darfur, about the horrible Mugabe regime in Zimbabwe, about the Bush-Cheney regime's lies that cost so many lives and injuries in Iraq, Afghanistan, and elsewhere. He paused to dry his eyes for a bit and then went on again about the AIDS epidemic in the world, poverty, global warming, for God's sake. It was all I could do to keep myself from crying along with him. Needless to say, we managed to get through that first day that I can say to you every day since then has been a revelation. I sent him up to my friend, Dr. Dennis Okakufori, educational psychologist at the University of Ghana, for aptitude testing and for all that sort of thing. Dr. Okakufori's conclusion after a 2-day battery of tests is that Ananse's intelligence is at or beyond the genius level. Apparently he has a photographic memory and has taken to the computer to technology like a duck to water. He will be computerizing my Montessori school operations in the coming quarter, something I've been threatening to do for ages.
Okay, from third gardener to computer. Okay.
I asked him how he learned to read so quickly. He told me it was easy after I learned the alphabet. Of course, he has lost his job as third assistant gardener. I'm appointing him head of the technological resources or some such thing. I don't think we need to be too concerned about Mr. Ananse Kotu. All he needed was a bit of a push, and I'm quite good at that, you know, pushing. So there it is about Ananse. He's on his way, and we'll be on our way this Tuesday, July 6th, after a honeymoon weekend at this oceanside resort called Kokrobite. I'm sure you know of it from your time there. I'm sending Grandfather Harvey and Grandmother Minerva, Grandfather Kofi and Grandmother Njinga a letter somewhat like this, but with no details about Ananse. I don't think they would understand. Well, folks, that's it for the time being. It's raining here right now, making it impossible to go lay out on the beach, but that's not such a hardship as you can well imagine for a freshly married couple. Smile. Love always, Kofi and Salena. Meanwhile, on the spacious back terrace of Mrs. and Mr. Harvey Ferguson's home, Harvey, put your paper down. Please put your paper down. Harvey Ferguson peeked over the top edge of the Sunday edition of the LA Times. Now what? What is it, Minerva? You look like you've seen a ghost. This letter from Kofi to my grandson. Have you seen it? Have you forgotten, Minerva? I'm only allowed to read the newspaper in monthly bills. Mrs. Minerva Ferguson pressed her lips tightly together and frowned, clearly annoyed with her husband's sarcastic answer. He's becoming a grumpy old man in his old age. Don't try to be funny. It doesn't become you. I'm trying to show you this letter we just received from Kofi. Well, what about it? The poor boy has gotten married over there in the African jungle.
Not quite, whatever.
Remember, Kofi is not poor and will never be so long as we have money. And he's not a boy. When I last checked, he was an adult. And you could hardly call Ghana an African jungle. But don't you see? He's gotten married over there to someone we don't even know. I don't think we need to be too concerned. I'm sure he married someone he knows.
Good comeback. Good comeback.
Take that. You want to treat this lightly? What if he had gotten married to one of those native women, slash marks all over her body? A very dark one. What do you think about that? If she's dark, she won't be able to see the slash marks very well in the dark, will he?
Mm-hmm.
You're being difficult again. Think about the children, our grandchildren. What will they look like? They'll probably be black as the ace of spades and have slash marks all over their bodies. He delivered his lines like a stand-up comedian and lifted the newspaper back up to our level, hiding a malicious smile. Uh-oh, here she comes. Minerva Ferguson came around to her side of the table, ripped the newspaper out of her husband's hand, plopped down on his lap, grabbed his face in both of her well-manicured hands, and gave him a solid kiss on the lips. Oh, you comedian. Sometimes I just don't know what to do with you. He draped his arms around her waist and spoke in his lowest, very white baritone and winked salaciously. Sit on my lap like that for a few more minutes and I'll think of something.
Oh, darling.
On the other side of town, in the section renamed South Los Angeles, but still known as South Central to just about everybody, Mr. Kofi Brown, Big Kofi, sat in the upstairs office loft of the family bookstore, Pages of Africa, scribbling titles of recently released books to be ordered from various publishers. He heard the familiar, quick-moving steps of his wife and Jinga rushing up to the loft. Kofi, read this. It just came. I rushed over. I knew you would want to see it yourself. Granddad Kofi adjusted his bifocals and read his grandson's wedding letter. Oh, I'll be damned. That's great. Wonderful. I thought so too. Call it feminine intuition or whatever, but I had a feeling that he was involved, that he had fallen in love when he kept mentioning his name. Salena this, Salena that in his letters. I thought it was because she wouldn't give him none. They shared a common laugh. You met her all her life. No matter how many books you read, maybe reading helps, baby.
Writing them certainly does.
Kojo Brown stepped out onto the back porch of their Echo Park home, stared at Akuzwa's head bent over the outline pages for her next novel, a gorgeous summer day. He glanced at the spot where he had fed the snake years ago. No need to focus on that story, it's over and done. He tiptoed up to his wife and brushed a little kiss on the back of her neck. She shivered with delight. Oh, it's you. You were expecting Michael Jackson? They smiled and kissed, toasting one of their favorite jokes. He held Kofi's letter out to her. She recognized the handwriting and snatched it out of his hand. She read the letter and burst into tears. Oh, look at me crying. Happy face tears, right? Oh, yes. I'm so happy for him. To find someone you love, that's a blessing in itself. Yeah, tell me about it. Isn't life incredible? I had no idea he would go over there and fall in love. I'm sure you must have felt the same way. They were silent for a few seconds, just thinking of the idea of their son being married to an African woman. What's that line in Shakespeare? All's well that ends well. In this case, I think the old West African proverb would fit the circumstances better. What's that? What comes around, goes around. Epilogue. Kofi gazed out at the fluffy gray clouds midway over the Atlantic and then turned to study Selena's sleeping face. his mind slipping from one thought to another. We were taken away in chains, came back centuries later on credit cards, and now I'm flying back with Africa at my side. And so that's the end of The Snake Doctor.
Woo! Wow, that was an adventure and a half, Mr. Hawkins. Odie Hawkins, that was an adventure and a half.
They can't say that I didn't read the book. I read it
from cover to cover.
Under the stress of rainstorms, tsunamis, earthquakes, race riots,
etc., etc., etc.
White riots. I meant to say not race riots, white riots.
The book can be purchased at Author House, Barnes and Noble.
Ignore all my comments, right? Okay.
Amazon.com. Your website is www.odiehawkins.com. You're in the process of writing a new book anyway, and reading a few other books and magazines. And so what goes on outside of these walls should stay outside, because there's too much joy and happiness within these walls.
What am I reading next?
Shackles Across Time.
Shackles Across Time, yes.
Okay.
I remember that one. It had something to do with people being shackled. Across time.
Across time. Why, thank you for reading it all. We definitely appreciated it. And the many adventures of Odie Hawkins. Check out Google. If you like this YouTube, please hit the like button below and subscribe. Looking forward to next week.
Okay, I would like to say one thing before we come to the end of this particular video session. In all seriousness, I would like to thank my wife, Salena-Hawkins, the video photographer, for being so patient as to put up with my little puns and jokes and you know, all the little difficult moments I've presented while we were doing this. I do want everyone to know that she does not video in the nude or anything like that. As a matter of fact, I suggested during one of these video sessions that she might put on some clothes. And she said, I am dressed. And she had to run out from behind the camera to prove that not only is she dressed, but she's a union woman.
And also, love is more than saying it, it's showing it. And I love you, Odie Hawkins.
Well, let's not get mushy. I mean, we don't want to turn the camera off. And you got trapped, didn't you? Turn it. All
right. Bye, y'all. We got things to do.
You're getting salacious.
In between.
You're getting salacious, Salena. Alfred, take it easy, man.
Yes.
You too, James.
All right. You too, Bao and Lily and all the others, Roger and Kofi, Kojo. All right. Got all excited. Bye now.